Hi guys, welcome to the Soul on Fire show. I am so excited today because I have a special guest with me here today that is going to talk about energy and the quantum work and art and tying in creativity and tapping into your creativity to manifest. She's one of my dear friends. She's a best-selling author and she is a quantum energy trainer and she is a beautiful soul. My beautiful friend Elizabeth Vanderliet is coming on with us. We're going to go deep into the emotional body, the mental body, the physical body, and the energetic body today, guys. So stay tuned till the end because I promise you by the end of this show, you'll be transformed and understand what creativity is and how to create them and manifest the life of your dreams. I'm Noelle Agape. Thanks for being here, guys, on the live. Thanks for being here on the replay. I am a quantum energy trainer. I'm an NLP trainer. I'm a licensed therapist, and I'm also a shaman. We merge science and spirituality on this show, as you know. So today we're going to go deep into all four of the bodies: the mental body, physical body, emotional body, and energetic body. And we're going to get you to your zone of genius. We're going to tap into you and break through all of your upper limits. So right now, guys, I'm going to bring on my dear friend because I want as much time with her as possible. I normally do a full segment by myself, but I want to share her as much as possible with you. Just sit down and enjoy this beautiful soul and what she has to offer you because it is tremendous. She's a best-selling author. Like I said, she's a speaker, quantum energy trainer, and she's going to change your life. So just sit still, guys, and let's enjoy. Hey, Birdie, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you, Noelle?
I'm doing amazing. Why don't you tell my audience who you are? Because I think I told them a little bit about you, but I just love you, my soul sister. And I know that you're on this beautiful journey. You're now a best-selling author and a speaker and a quantum energy trainer, but you're also an artist and you bring creativity out into the world like I've never seen before. So thank you for doing that. But tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, thank you so much for that generous introduction. As my dad always said, I'm chief bottle washer. It's like, I got a little energy, got some art, got some writing, all of it. I feel deeply, deeply like moved to do. And why is that? It's the bottom line is creativity. No matter how it
Mm,
comes out in our lives, it is so deeply it's not just important, it's a necessity to bring out what's deep inside of us. It allows us to step aside from ourselves and bring out what we may not know is there.
I love that so much. So let's talk about a little bit more about that and understand about bringing out what's not knowing what's in there. And so tapping into, here we talk about tapping into your zone of genius, moving and breaking through all the limits. We have been on this amazing journey together. So let's talk about how you use creativity as a source of breaking through your upper limits and coming through in the divine feminine energies to create the life of your dreams.
Well, my domain is the art. I love the art. I love the paint. I love the feel. I love the process, and I love the creation. I don't always have to use art, but the key is when we allow ourselves to get into some flow, which allows for a different brainwave pattern, that's when solutions can happen. That's when flow happens. That's when grace comes into our lives. That's when we kind of step out of our thinking brain and get into our heartfelt brain.
I love that so much. So maybe share with the audience your journey through, because I think all of us, right, as artists, as creatives, we go through this journey of not expressing our art and creativity, but also being in the spiritual space and understanding the abundance world of an artist. I mean, I know that the starving artist or the creative, it's becoming less and less now because people are tapping into that creative energy and they're using it to bring greatness to the world. Let's talk about your journey through, like, how I know that you were a rolfer and you worked with energy first. How do you tie in energy and art to bring everything out and do what you do?
The word that you just said that I really want to talk about is tap in, because I think
Mm,
it's a term that's overused or maybe misunderstood at this time. Tapping in is finding flow. People wonder, like,
mm,
well, what are you tapping into? Is there something magical out there? Am I not capable? And the answer to that question is we are all capable to tap in. And what we tap into is something bigger than ourselves. And um, we have to, I like to say, and I'm not the only one, there's an energetic frequency to our love and our abundance and our power and our grace, and then there's an energy to a problem or an issue or something that's going on that we don't enjoy maybe. It's really important to note that we cannot get to the solution, to the answer, to that grace from the same energy of the problem, so
Mm.
to speak. And that tapping into understanding that, moving through it, you and I have talked at length about, wounds and things that have happened in our lives that bring us lenses that we look through. And we have to work through those individually, each of us. But what all of us have access to is that flow that's in the energy of joy and creativity. And even when you think you can't, I'm here to tell you, you can. And that is the book that just came out called The Creative Life Book. Our,
Mm.
our lead author, Jessica Hughes, is fabulous.
Okay.
And I would say that writing my chapter of the book required me to distill down, like, what is it that I do to get into creativity? And I explain it in my chapter, and I'll briefly explain it here. I get moving. There has to be an exchange of oxygen
Mm.
where I'm either, and that can be anything, walking, yoga. I love to cycle and hike. We're changing the brainwave patterns so that we can access something different within us. Um, if anybody's been in depression, when we're in a depressed state, we are stuck in the valley, and it is very difficult to get out of that. And so when we are painting or moving or breathing and we bring ourselves up, we're available for
Mm.
different answers to come in. Does that make sense?
I love that. I love that so much. And it really is, we talk frequency so much on this channel. And it's understanding that you have a choice between consciousness and ego. And you keep using the word flow. And I love that because it's a very big term right now. But so you talked about also brainwaves, which is incredibly important. Let's talk about like the biochemistry of the thought patterns. And so you know this, that your thoughts are your communication of your brain, and your emotions are your communications of your body. Now, through creativity, you can tap into those emotions and those brainwaves, right? And so using creativity and using the energy, it's really manipulating the energy into a greater, higher frequency by using the creative energy. And the creative energy is such a beautiful force. It really is. Let's talk about understanding how you do that. How do you merge it with the mind and the body, and while you're engulfed in the experience of making the art and creating the art, but then also in all the quantum work that you do, how, like somebody that is in depression, how would you describe that to a person to get out of depression through creativity?
I really like to answer that because I can mirror through my own experience.
Mm.
Um, a desire, it is not linked to what I produce, and
Mm.
it's taken me a long time to step out of the desire to produce something and allow myself to explore. I mean, of course, sometimes I am painting something and it's a commission or it's something that has to look like something, but somebody who is depressed or in a situation where they can't seem to move, when you engage in the art of paint or pen or color, and you do not put restrictions on yourself, it sounds very simple. And yet when people actually do it, when I bring women together in a group and I give them permission to do it, because I think
Mm.
in our fast-paced lives, people don't give themselves permission to do this kind of work. And
Okay.
so it starts with the smallest of exploration. It can be translated into the kitchen or the garden. And that's why I emphasize that it's the doing of it, the taking of the action, and not what it is that you're doing or producing.
I love that so much. And we all know, there's four different chemicals that your brain actually that are happy chemicals, and it's serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, and the endorphins, right? And so
Right.
when you get those up to your brain and you're moving the energy, you're in your biophysical body, it moves through your body, and that's how you get into flow. That's so incredible. And I love that you said it could be in the garden, it could be in the kitchen, it could be in your home, it could be anywhere. Creativity to me is such a beautiful dance with the universe, because it's a softer energy. It's not a aggressive moving, like it's not a, oh, I need to do this. It's more, let's create and flow. So let's talk about the quantum fields and creating in the quantum fields, as well as not just the art and everything, but let's talk about understanding and the manifestation process through creativity. Maybe you can explain it. That it's the desire, and then it's the time lapse, and then it's the transition of the ego and the identity from ego to consciousness, and then it's awareness from there. So let's talk about that in the space of energy, where you're on a timeline with, we were talking about depression, and then there's another timeline in flow, but through the manifestation process, what does that look like to you?
Oof. Just a few minutes ago, you talked about sort of passion and purpose, or upper limits, and that, and you have helped me move through. I always thought, like, it's my art, it's my art, it's my
Mhm.
art, and really that is my domain. That's where I find joy, that's where I feed my soul, and
Mm.
that's my passion. I really love it. But I do believe what scares me is my purpose, and my purpose is
Mm.
this energetic stuff, which sometimes I get tongue tied talking about it, because I want people to understand that what you're asking me to tell them is, ooh, what is that? It's a psychic thing. How do you put it in, how do you measure it in anyone that they've actually gotten better? How do
Mm.
you, and that is such an inside job.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I don't even think I answered your question. I talked about it.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the inside job and how this is huge, and moving to purpose, right? And understanding that your ego will always keep you, and I speak about this all the time, your ego will always keep you safe, and your consciousness will always pull you further than you've ever gone before, right? And using the creative forces that you use, it's like a cheat code, right? It
Right.
really is a cheat code to go faster, further through creativity, because when you understand energy at the level that we do, it's understanding that the creativity is a frequency, right? And so your purpose is at a different frequency than your ego. So maybe talk about that, because I think that that's huge in this space, is understanding how can someone that is in the creative space, or someone that is a creative, or I hate the word influencer, but someone that is in a space where they're a leader, how can they use this creative energy to lead into purpose? Because that's what you're doing, right? You're literally using creativity and standing in your power and your purpose. But you had to battle your ego, and all of us did, to get there, right? So
Right. Right. So when I'm teaching, I always tell the women, I'm like, it is not my desire that you create something that you hang on the wall. You could drop
mm,
it in the garbage can on the way out the door, and I'm not offended in any way. What's important to note is it's the energy that we cultivate when we allow for the creativity. And you and
mm,
I have talked at length about this, the David Hawkins consciousness level, the energetic frequency of shame and guilt,
mm,
or love and peace. They're completely separate on that, and it's completely measurable. So if I use that, if we live our lives from down here, that is such a it's a hard energy to live through, because it's matter to matter.
mhm,
When we can lift ourselves up through whatever we do, but it's consistently taking actions to align with ourselves, to align with greater purpose, we bring ourselves up to higher frequencies, love, joy, peace. and we can be in service to others, which is huge because that helps us as well. But when we can come from that, we are easily, all I can say is doing more good. I mean, doing more good for me, for you, for everyone. You've pushed me tremendously to contemplate the whole being of in service to others was a really hard thing for me to embrace, because I'm like, I can't really help others. I'm struggling myself. I got my behind the scenes shit show going on, but you've helped me to see that when I get beyond myself and I bring what I do, my creativity, my love of this energetic work, it's like you've seen my light inside and you've helped me bring it out.
I love that so much. And I think that that's what creativity is, right? It's seeing the light within and pulling it out with other people, right? I think that that's amazing. Let's talk about, if you're okay with it, your journey of going through the dark night of the soul to get to your purpose. So, I'm so open on my channel about who I am and how I've gone through everything. They're tired of hearing my story. So, other people that have had, pain through success and moving pain into purpose, I think that that's such a huge part of what we do, right? And so, let's talk about going through the pain and seeing through the wound, and then going through the wound and coming on the outside of it, but actually seeing as the observer, and the observation being very, very different once it's coming from purpose, right? And so that's a huge component for me, is understanding that you have to actually be in the darkness to experience the light. And that's very big in the artist world, the creative world, right? Is that there's a lot of dark because artists feel so deeply, right? Creatives feel through their way through life.
Right. I heard something on a podcast just real recently. It's the choice to be in the dark night for an artist is actually somewhat of a choice. If we turn it and we look at creative people are deeply sensitive, and it's our collective looking at that personality that has put it, the starving artist, the you'll never make it, you can't do that, oh go ahead, you can do that, but you'll be drinking watered down coffee, those sort of things. It's the sensitivity from a creative does not have to have that at all. That is a limiting belief. That is one of those lenses that you're talking about. That is one of those things energetically that holds us down. And when we can move past that, and if I use examples for myself, I've lost many family members in the past 5 years, like 3, and that's a lot. And in navigating through my own understanding of where I existed in our relationships, all of a sudden a light went on about what my role was. And my role was something that had been layered on me. It's not bad. It's not good. It's like I grew up in a family. That's what happens. But with help from you and doing the work, I could uncover a lens and say, oh, that belief is not true. It's not real. And I can flip that belief. And now I'm no longer looking through that lens. And if that's too vague or too, too esoteric, I mean, I'm happy to talk about that more, but we all have these things and it's a blind spot. We don't know what we don't know. And that's why doing the quantum work, which I love that you talk about, you've been a therapist for years and yet you like, I don't want to do it that way anymore because it's so slow. It stays in the story. It stays in those lower frequencies of stuckness. And when we can move through that and remove those lenses and beliefs that hold us back, there's so much more available to us. And that's the moment it gets really scary.
Mm. And we're going to talk about that in the next segment, about how we get through the scariness and how to actually to do that, and some takeaways and some things, like some tools and takeaways that you actually teach to all of the women the beautiful women that the lives you change. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back, guys. Stay tuned for more beautiful, beautiful creativity in the quantum fields and understanding how to get in the flow. We will be right back, guys. Stay tuned. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being on the Soul on Fire show. We are here with my dear friend, my soul sister, Elizabeth Vanderliet. We are talking about creativity and flow and understanding how to move your energy from the darkness into the light, and using creativity as a source and understanding the mind-body connection through creativity. So Bertie, tell us, and I call you Bertie and you're Elizabeth. Everybody's probably like, what? Because we're dear friends. So let's talk about some things that you actually teach, because I know that you are a rolfer, you're a best-selling author, you're a speaker, you're a quantum energy practitioner with me, and you've gone through so much work. And so let's talk about going through what it looked like in the process in the middle, right? Because we talk about the manifestation process, which is creativity, and we're creating our reality of, you have the desire, and then the time lapse between the 5D and the 3D. And then we have the changing of the identity from ego to consciousness, and then awareness, and then, which is your higher self, and then consciousness. And so let's talk about identity, right? This is a big topic, but understanding of how you have to become the energy, even as a creative. Like, this is what we're doing as creatives, right? It's God in us, through us, is what I say all the time, and using that Christ consciousness to create the reality you want. But we have to let go of every identity that we've ever had. Let's talk about identity and how in the middle, that pocket is really the choice of transformation or not.
Wow, that was a big topic of discussion.
Mm.
There's a point where you have helped guide me into understanding, like, where do I feel powerful? Where do
Mm.
I feel what is it that I'm feeling when I feel like I'm really useful to other people? When I am, it's not me that I'm desiring to help others, but when do I feel like I am the most helpful to others?
Mm.
And that it's a little bit slippery, because when I go to grab for it, I'm like, oh, I don't know, what that is. And it's we keep talking about, how do I teach people this?
Mm-hmm.
It is in that moment when I see people let go into whatever creative practice we're doing. They
Mm.
just let go. All of a sudden, the frequency of the whole room changes.
Wow.
Some people can feel that, others don't. And that's when my people that I'm working with, that's when you can engage in the conversation of what's outside that frequency to find the answers there.
Mm.
We also talk about creativity, and it's out there in the world. There's so many artistic people, and a lot of creative, sensitive people are creating out of pain. And that seems to be a really big theme. And there is nothing wrong with that. However, there's so much more than that.
Mm.
That's a small pocket. It's a very small pocket. Jessica, the author of our book, the lead author, she talks about how the painting has kept her sober, how the painting has brought her through, and
Mm.
her higher purpose is to teach creatives how to bring themselves out.
Mm.
If I mirror that for me, I've loved my artwork. I love to share it with people. But what I'm understanding is that I like to use it as a vehicle to help people transform to
Mm,
something better, a better version of themselves.
beautiful. And so let's talk about identity and through that process of how you had to become someone different.
Well, the fun part about it is imagining. It starts really
Mm,
there, like imagining what
yeah.
I you mentioned I was a certified advanced rolfer and I worked that way, and I didn't really necessarily believe I could be an artist. I could be my side gig. It could be, I sell a few things on the side. Um, but the identity of being an artist, a few years back, it was like I went into the starving artist, and I'm like, no, I don't. I know that's not what I
Mm,
want. I want to bring it out in joy. I want to bring it about out in abundance. I want to bring it out in growth, expansion, and the beauty of art.
mm,
So the identity that anyone is is headed for or desiring or wanting to attain, you have to feel it, you have to believe it, and you have to know what it's like,
mhm,
on a smaller scale, the manifestation that you and I talk about, where you're matter against matter. I mean, if you
mhm,
don't take an action in the direction of what you want to manifest, nothing will ever happen. What's the old one? You put GPS in, but if you never turn the engine on and move, you're never going to move in that direction.
mm,
So, but the identity, there's an identity to actually moving in that direction, and
mm.
there's an identity of just thinking about it but never taking an action.
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
so we have to navigate those.
I love that so much, and you know that, and sometimes pushed you further than you wanted to go, but inspired action every single day, right? And there's something. Take one step every single day towards your manifestation, because when you're in the middle, this is a really big thing, and you're transmuting this identity to a different identity. What most people think is that they have to heal themselves, and they have to go in and change themselves, and they have to do all these things, when on a different timeline, you're actually a different person and a different energy and a different frequency. And you actually have to just become that frequency as often as possible. So I love that you said take action, because inspired action on a daily basis is not the grind. Inspired action is coming from flow, it is coming from the new identity, your highest self. And let's talk about that, because this is really important, living in the end. And we talk about this all the time, right? And how you have to be so dedicated with no back door at all. Of you can live in the 3D reality and understand, like, if you're buying a new house and you're in the process of buying a new house, but you're living in one house, you still have to pay the rent in your other house, right? So
Exactly.
understanding the duality of your new identity, until you fully have merged into the energy of it and become it, you can see it and feel it and believe it, but you still have to live in the 3D reality, and every single day take inspired action towards that. So what are some things that you teach your clients, your students? Because I know that you're like, now, just literally, like, in the last couple of weeks, have exploded. You've transitioned into working with Noelle Agape Global as a quantum energy practitioner. You are now like this world-renowned artist that's a best-selling author and speaker. And so, giving someone that's just starting out, what would you say to someone that is just starting out along this journey? And how to, like, what would be the motivation to get them there?
I would remove the word motivation, and
Mm,
I would insert creativity,
I love that. I love that
because
so much.
we don't know what, I mean, having teenagers, and having been a teenager myself, having, I've moved through different, you talk about taking risks, and going somewhere where you don't know you're going. And
Mm,
so people like to talk about manifestation like, oh, it's just so easy, like even when you say it, it sounds so simple. Get into the frequency of that. Well, what does that really look like,
mhm,
and what does it feel like inside? And so sometimes it does start with moving through that first, second, and possibly third limitation. It's like a glass door. You have to break through that.
mm,
And you said it, and I want to repeat it for your guests here, is that our ego wants to keep us safe.
Yeah.
And if we insert the word small, because staying small
Mhm.
is being safe, and that's what our ego wants us to do. We don't get hunted down and eaten, but we don't have that anymore in this world. So
Thank God.
I know, thank God. But so the art of being creative is not just finding the solution; it's allowing for that new identity, that
Mm.
new end. I mean, maybe you don't know what it is, but you're in something that doesn't have it. And so through creativity, I teach people, listen to what's going on in here,
Mm.
listen to what's going on in here, because you get these, people call them downloads, insights, a message from God, anything that you want. But if you slow down, you
Mm.
can hear that better, because it's not a, you've always asked me, what's your end game? I've had to really open up my heart and say, what is my end? What
Mhm.
would I like to be? How would I like to resonate? And it's taken me time to get there, because I kept myself small.
Mm. I love that so much, and thank you for being so vulnerable with that, and I think we all have at some point, right? And, I think all of us have in the last couple weeks had like, just since Hawaii, it's tremendous breakthroughs, but it doesn't matter what level you are, you always have another level to break through, right? I just
Right.
had a huge breakthrough this week that was tremendous, but it was still another level that I had to break through, and all the things that I've gone through in the last 6 months as well, getting there, right? And so it's the journey of evolution, and being okay with the being okay with the unknown, and releasing control, and becoming who you want to be, and allowing and giving yourself, you said a really powerful word the other in the last segment, permission, right? Giving yourself permission to release the old and become the new. And I think that that's such a powerful force, giving yourself permission to be creative, giving yourself permission to live in the creative space, and not be in the manipulation space, but the manifestation space, right? And so the
Mm-hmm.
creative plane, not the competitive plane. Let's talk about that for a moment, where you're, most creatives go through not just a dark night of the soul, but most creatives also go through the point where they're just at their end break, and they break. Then they're like, okay, this is not working. Let's talk about the breaking point, and how that is such a pivotal part in moving from ego to consciousness, especially with the creatives, because I feel like as a creative, we're both creatives. We feel our way through the life, right? And when you feel so deeply, and there's betrayal, or there's letdowns, or there's things that don't happen in the egoic plane. You said this, and it was so powerful, that they use the darkness to create. But what about using that darkness to transcend into a higher plane? Like, let's talk about transcendence, because that's creativity is transcendence, right? I believe that it is, without question.
In my experience throughout my life, what I want is never been out there. And at
Mm,
this point in my life, I'm realizing it's in here. And I go deeper, and it's an act of grace. And I have to go inward to bring what it outward, because
I love that.
if the one thing you've taught me is everything in my life is me out pushed. It's what
Mhm,
I'm doing, thinking, eating, sleeping, and breathing.
mhm,
And so it's going inwards to come out. It's a deep self-love, you know,
mm,
and it's that voice in the head. It's the actions that I take. And I think everyone needs a kinder voice
mm.
talking to them in their heads. Everyone, including me. But
And me.
there was another point you were just saying, and I wanted to touch on it. Anyway, I lost that thought. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Well, I believe that everything, whether you're a creative, or an entrepreneur, or just a mom, I think everything is an internal game, and it is a journey between you and your higher self, and consciousness, God, source, the universe, and
Oh, I
it's
know what it was.
okay.
Can I? So literally, this book that just went number one bestseller
Internationally.
internationally. It actually launched on April 5th, which is just over
Crazy.
a week ago, and I was participating in this, and it's all these women have come together and shared their deepest, most heartfelt way to get into creativity, because the group of us believe that that's the avenue out of a lot of different dark nights of the soul, whether you think you're creative or not. To just share for a moment the 3 or 4 days after it went live and how we worked together as a team. Like I almost couldn't believe it. And so I had to ask myself, if you don't believe it, it's not happening, but it's happening. So you have to believe it. And so we get into this cycle of not believing in here, but it's happening. And I actually put on one of my profiles, like, international bestseller. And how did that feel? Like, it felt really odd, because I'm like, oh, well, I just wrote one chapter, but this book has the power to affect people. And it is powerful. And it did make, like, I don't know, like 25 different categories on Amazon bestseller in like 48 hours. And it kept coming and it kept coming. So the reason I share that is not to boast about it, but what my identity had to do to allow that was different for me.
I think that that's such a beautiful thing, is part of the creative process is allowing. And I think that that's the detachment, right? And I will say this, is that there is no possible way that every single one of you would not have become a best-selling author had it not been a collective intention. And so the internal game was that you were a exact vibrational match for to become and so whether your ego could catch up or not, when you said, is this happening? Is it happening? And we're scared. And that's such a powerful point, is through the fear is your purpose always, right? Through the pain is always your purpose. And understanding and knowing that your soul is guiding your intention. And when you have soul-centered intentions, like, this book is going to change massive lives, massive lives. And the difference between, oh, I'm a best-selling author, or I'm a best-selling international author that's going to change massive lives through this book, is completely different. And so I think that
so much so, when you said, like when I was reading, when I started reading on the final edit that we got sent by the editor, well, that was the first opportunity that I had to read everyone else's. And I mean, before I even got to my chapter to, like, look for, misspelled words, I was reading it and I was like, wow, this is really, really wonderful. And it can help. I mean, even if it just helps one person, but it's so powerful. I feel really honored to be in that collaboration. And now it's my duty to bring it out to more people, as many.
And that's a huge component. We're going to talk about accountability and responsibility in the next segment. We're going to take a quick break again, but I think that's such a huge point. Is, I teach radical responsibility, right, and accountability, and that being accountable for your energy, your mind, your body, your soul, and your energy, and putting yourself into the energy of flow and creativity is 100% you, right? And so we're going to take another quick break, but then we're going to come back and talk about how radical responsibility has changed both of our lives, right? Because when we accept where we were and where we need to be, it's a very different frequency, right?
Right.
So we will be right back, guys. Stay tuned for more tapping into your manifestation energies through creativity. We'll be right back, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being on the Soul on Fire show. We are here today with my beautiful soul sister, Elizabeth Vanderliet. She is a best-selling author now and a speaker and a quantum energy trainer through Noelle Agape Global. And she changes massive lives through creativity and assists people in the manifestation process of getting them to where they need to be, breaking through their upper limits through creativity. So, Birdie, let's talk about, in the first segment, we talked a lot about how to get there and understanding who, and then the second section, we talked about identity and becoming that. Let's talk about radical responsibility and accountability. And you know, this is so big with me, is that there is nothing, not one thing that is going on in your external world that's not going on in your internal world. So you have to do the inner work. You can't just say, I'm going to tap into the frequency of creativity and flow, and I'm going to be good, and I'm just going to move over there, and I'm going to not everything is bubbles and unicorns, and I'm not going to look at my 3D reality. Spiritual bypassing, right? That's huge in our community. Spiritual bypassing is tremendous. It's a lot easier to say, I'm good, I don't need to do the work, I'm fine, than actually going within and doing the deep inner work that needs to happen for your identity to change. So let's talk about, one, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as a wife, as a mother, as a creative, best-selling author now, radical responsibility of taking accountability for the work, because both of us, like, we do the work and you show up. Like, I give you a project, I give you something, and you show up, right? I mean, I can't tell you, since I've known you, a time that you haven't shown up. And so I think that's one of the most important things that you even don't know that you teach without actually teaching it, is you show up. You literally show up always. And so let's talk about accountability and radical responsibility for your reality.
Wow, radical responsibility, as my daughter just is flashing in here with texts about what she needs. I'm so sorry. Anyway, radical responsibility is being true to yourself. And I don't think
Mm,
everyone knows what that means or what it feels like. Um, it isn't, it, it, it doesn't mean that you have to go anywhere big. It's being radically honest with yourself.
mm,
If you're not happy, what are you doing to change it?
mm,
Period. Like, are you willing to do the work? If you don't want to do the work, then you're ultimately saying, I'm happy where I am.
mm. Big, 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 big. And so I say all the time, acknowledgement, acceptance, awareness, and then consciousness, right? And so people are stuck in acceptance and just accept that their reality is okay. Let's talk about moving beyond acceptance and that process and that journey for you, because you really have done the work and you've gone deep, and this is just the tip of the iceberg for you to break through into your purpose. But the journey of doing the work, what does that look like?
It's at times it's extremely joyful because there's clarity and there's insight, but
Mm,
insight will bring one to the the like, if you're hiking and you got a trail, but then you have to jump over a creek. It's like,
mm,
when you get those insights, it brings you to the point where you're going to have to take a little bit of a leap.
mm,
And that means that you believe in something new, different, and bigger or better, or it could be easier. How easy can it be? But we
mm.
do need to take that leap. And sometimes people do not want to take that leap. And
Definitely.
that's what has to be uncovered, is why not? But I really think it's important here that, like, no one, not you, not me, we're not taking somewhere where they don't want to go. It's
Mm-mm.
not that's not what this is about. It's like, when you work through things, you will have to go through a little bit of discomfort over and over and over. Otherwise, you're just on the same trail. I mean, you can go run around the track at the high school for the rest of your life.
I love that. That's such a powerful thing to say, and I think that the work just needs to be done. And let's talk about how working with people, whether it was as a rolfer or whether it's in your artistic groups or now in the quantum fields, how have you transmuted and transcend so many lives? And here you said a very powerful thing, and both of us are mentors, but how I've never, not once said, I'm going to do the work for you. As a matter of fact, I more often than not put it back on you, right? And allow you to get there. How do you guide someone in that process? And if any, by the way, guys, if anybody tells you what you should do with your soul, then run as fast as you can. If they guide you to your soul, then that's a very different thing, right? And so let's talk about that, between the difference of someone that is lost and just seeking like crazy, and being a spiritual teacher at the level of consciousness, and a mentor, understanding that you're guiding them back to themselves, right?
So just for like the discussion purposes, I mean, first level is, can someone allow themselves to be seen? And
Mm,
can they know that they're being seen and sit with that comfortably? I
I
mean,
love
that would be the first step. If and then another step is, are they able to be seen, and do they know what they want? Are they aware of what they would like, what they desire, what they're willing to work for? And some, those are two very um, primary steps. Unless you get somebody who comes in and you just know energetically they've done a lot of work, and they know, they go, this is my limit, how do I get through it? So I think that is just a good demonstration for somebody listening, is that this doesn't look the same for everyone. It is I mean, I don't care if you want to be a sailor, a librarian, or a chef. It's like,
Mhm.
what's holding you back? So it has nothing to do with me. And it's like taking your car to the mechanic. I'm the mechanic. I'm helping you tune. I'm helping you direct. I'm helping you, rev your motor into the right direction. So I think it's always important to say that, I am not, you are not like doing the work.
No.
We're guiding.
Yeah. And more often than not, this personally, is that I'm very much like, you'll say, I don't know. And I'm like, yes, you do. Right. And
Yeah, I don't like that comment, but yes.
sorry, not sorry. But it's because it's creating this relationship that's not codependent upon your mentor, but it's codependent upon yourself and higher source, and finding your way back to source. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about your connection to source and how it taps into the creative plane, and understanding that it's not on the egoic plane, but your connection to source is the primary thing for you to break through your upper limits. Let's talk about that.
I'm going to talk about it in a funny way. Whenever you do a lot of work and you're there and you're doing the work, let's just say, I mean, just for an example, like you're studying French and you're studying it and you're studying it and you're studying it and you're there and you can't get the word. And like, um, when you take a break from it, it comes up, it surfaces.
Mm,
Okay. And so sometimes when I've done work with you, I'm like, I'm just tired. I am just tired. I got to take a break. And at that moment, when I allow myself to take that break,
mm,
that's when the integration happens.
mm. I love it.
And that's not mutually exclusive. It's not totally separate from this flow that we talk about.
Mm. I love that. I love that so much. I think that, so let's talk about detachment and understanding that, as an artist, I mean, I'm an artist as well. Nobody knows this, but I actually majored in art, even, and a double majored in art and psych, and then bio psych, and then all the other crazy quantum stuff. But my undergrad, I did have a major in art, and understanding that art, the not even just art, but creativity, it asks you to pause. It asks you to go within. It asks you to detach. It asks you to be intuitive. Let's talk about the connection between intuition and creativity, and that pause, that break that you said, that you need to take a beat. What is the detachment in that piece, and how is it allowing the source to come through you to bring out to the world?
Boredom is the best place to find creativity. And it's something that we don't have in our world, and our children don't have it because of the phones and the internet. We talk about creating space to receive.
Hmm.
And I mean, it could be clothes in your closet, love in your heart, food in your refrigerator. Like, it doesn't matter, because if you're running a million miles an hour, There's no space for anything to catch up for you. There's no receptivity because you're not available. You're not available to receive. You're not available for
Energetically
any
either.
energetically. So yeah, I mean, that would be my biggest response to that particular question.
So I know that you're doing so much right now. What would be like the biggest thing if you could just say to someone like, this is my daily routine. You know me with routines. Like I have a daily routine. I meditate in the morning. I journal. I have gratitude walk. So what do you do on a daily basis to get centered, to get into creativity, to get into flow? I know, but tell our audience.
Yeah. Um, I am a morning person. I would prefer to go to bed early, and I utilize my time in the morning to really center myself. With 3 teenagers and a dog, which I'm today picking up from surgery, I know that if I don't get personal time,
Mm,
that it's that personal quiet time, introspection, it's that inner going into grace, and that's kind of where I like, pump myself up. you know I'm peaceful, I'm safe, I'm loved, I remind myself of what I'm coming to life with. And the
mm,
other piece of my day is, if I get, I mean, truly, it's underrated, is it's not exercise, it's movement. It
mhm.
really, really helps me. Oh, and I left out sleep. Sleep is a very key element to growing and doing work.
What did you have a routine before you start your projects, or how do you get yourself centered usually with right before you have whether writing the book or whether you're coming on the show or speaking, whatever it may be, or doing an art or teaching a class. What do you do? What's your process that you do right before that?
I there I love this concept of, you could clean your house in 3 days or give yourself 2 hours. Like for
Mm,
me, when I sat down to write for the book, I'd been thinking about it and I'd been thinking about it and thinking about it. And I finally said, sit down and write it.
mm,
And because I had mixed the pot, I was open, I was receptive, I gave myself a directive and I sat down and I wrote it. And barring some edits, it came out right. So, what is that? I think we have to direct ourselves. We are in the driver's seat of our lives, and sometimes it's go time, and you just have to do
mm,
it. I mean,
mm.
that's the truth. And
I
and
love.
and mind you, if you're depressed or something like that, it isn't always that easy. So there's some people start at one stage and other people start at different stages, and neither one is wrong or right.
I love that. Just understanding who you are on the process and taking time for you through the journey. I love that
Hmm.
so much. And so let's talk about your book and what where we can get it. And I'll link all the links below, but I'm also going to put up here. I know that if you want to, no, that's the wrong one. So, if you want to go to noelleagape.com and work with Birdie or get on a call with Birdie, she is one of our quantum practitioners. And it is a beautiful, beautiful journey of the soul. And it's working with your mental body, your physical body, your emotional body, and your energetic body. And she taps in. She's one of our practitioners. She's our lead practitioner, actually. She taps into your soul and allows you to break through any upper limits that are there for you to tap into your zone of genius and bring your gifts out to the world. But Bertie, let's talk even about you and your book and how that is like literally one transcended your life. But this work that we have done, let's talk about this work because this work has changed your life. It's changed my life. This work it's not me as your mentor. It's not you as a mentor. It's the work that we do. Let's talk about that. And then let's talk about the book and what you have upcoming because this work changes lives, right?
A lot, a lot going on. It's funny because I meet people, if you're totally happy in your life, that's great. But if you are curious about something more, go to Noelle Agape and work with me, work with Noelle, any one of us. I mean, that is the truth, is that you have to be curious for yourself. I'm
Mm,
not going to light a fire in you. I'm going to expose the fire, bring you out. You asked a lot of questions there. My art can be seen at elizabethvanderliet.com. at
And I'll
my
link that
website.
below.
The Creative Life book, that's the title, is available still at 99 cents as a Kindle book. It will be coming out in paperback within the next 2 weeks, and I can't wait for that. I can't wait to have the hardback, the
Me
book
too.
in my hand. And you can find out about my quantum art. I do energetic readings for people, which is sort of like a snapshot energetic feel for where you are right now. And if you're so inclined, I create a piece of art to memorialize that, and you get to have that. I think that's most of it.
Let's talk about.
I'm teaching a retreat this summer. I'm so excited. A dear friend of mine has a beautiful horse ranch in California, and I'll be teaching a 3-day retreat there with Pam. And there'll be horseback riding. We'll be doing the artwork and some of this energy work there.
That's amazing. And so, how has doing this quantum work changed your life?
Like I said, some things are really difficult to measure or to calculate.
I
And
would say everything that you just mentioned you didn't have a year ago, right? So,
right, yeah. Well, so we could measure that, but like calculating it, like if I talk about it in my heart, it's like I feel so much more. I know myself better. I know what I'll accept and what I won't accept, and
mm,
for that reason, I feel joyful.
mm,
Um, it's really amazing work, and it's got a ripple effect. So
mhm.
it's not a one and done, and you recycle and you go through, and then the next layer comes up to the surface. And so I am so grateful for the work.
Well, I think that one, I'm so proud of you, of all that you've accomplished and everything that you have just, I mean, this year your life has exploded in so many ways. And, I think that it's understanding that it's all four avenues of wellness. It's the mental body, the physical body, the emotional body, and the energetic body. And you could be doing really well in one area of your life, but you always have an upper limit in some other area of your life that you're breaking through. The soul is here to experience and expand. And when we understand that, it's a daily routine of expansion, right? And I think that that's what you have tapped into so much with the creativity piece, is that it's expansion, right? You're moving from contracted energy to expansion. So
I love the way you just said that. That's key.
yeah, I think that's the greatest journey, is when you can expand through the soul's journey, and you're living your purpose, and I'm so proud of you. So one key takeaway, if you could tell somebody only one thing about how to transform their life or transcend their reality, what would it be?
I said it in the book. You are not behind.
Hmm.
You can start right now. There is no magical path. Just say yes and seek the help and assistance
Hmm.
that you need. I mean, you're not behind.
Hmm. And final question. Thank you for being on. I love you so much, and stay in the backstage. So I'll talk to you after the show. But what sets your soul on fire?
Um, it's that feeling that I get when I connect with someone and I feel as if I'm helping them.
Hmm.
I love that feeling. And of course it comes as feedback, how they respond. But when I see someone expand, I feel great.
And that's the work we do, right? That's the transformation and the soul expansion. I love you so much. I'm
Ah,
so blessed to be on this journey with you. I'm so proud of you for all the work that you have done this year. I want you to, when you go back and watch this show and see how much you've actually accomplished this year, your mind's going to be blown when you see that one segment. Stay backstage, and I'll see you in just a little bit. Thank you. I love you so much.
thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, guys, what an amazing show today, tapping into the manifestation process of creativity and understanding how to transcend your reality from where your ego is into consciousness, using creativity to tap into consciousness, using creativity to tap into flow. You are more powerful than you will ever know. You are a gift to this world. You have some force within you that is ready to come out. You have some magic in you that is creative, that is on the creative plane, that is a higher version of you. God is coming through you. It is God in you, through you, in every breath that you take. You are more powerful than you know, guys. I love you, and I will see you in the next video.